Don't bully people. That's mean.
I don't bully.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, don't bully.
I feel like that's never happened ever.
It happened.
That's what I thought. Okay. Let's go to Luke chapter 15. Okay. Friday, we were talking through these parables in Luke 15. We did the lost sheep, little Stevie. Remember?
Stevano.
No.
Our friend the shepherd
Not the one that died, but-
lost Stevie, and then he found Stevie, and then he threw a party, and then Sally and Susie got barbecued.
And Sean.
And Sean fell off the cliff to his death. Right? Okay. And then we did the lost coin.
Oh,
The lady's looking all over the house. She finds the lost coin, then she throws a party, and the party costs. We didn't get it. Oh, well, let's do the lost coin then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last coin. Yeah, JC.
I need somebody to read for me, beginning in verse 8 of chapter 15. You're going to read 8, 9, and 10. Go ahead.
All right. Just go ahead, start.
Yep.
Or suppose a woman has 10 silver coins and loses one. Doesn't she light a lamp, sweep the house, and search carefully until she finds it? And when she finds it, she calls her friends and neighbors together and says, "Rejoice with me, I have found my lost coin." In the same way, I tell you, there is rejoicing in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents.
Okay. So, shepherd lost Stevie, found Stevie, right? Helped Stevie not get lost ever again in his life. Yeah? Okay. And then threw a party that's probably going to cost him more than one sheep. Yeah? Okay. Now we have a lady who's lost one coin, finds it, and then throws a party to celebrate the coin she found. Chances are the party is going to cost her more than the coin. So why is she throwing the party?
For the coin.
Yep. Why does it make sense? Listen, why does it make sense to celebrate finding one coin if the party's going to cost you more than the coin?
The coin is different than
Nope.
the rest. No. Okay. What's a big guess?
It's 10 silver coins. She lost one of the silver coins.
Maybe her ancestors, whatever, gave her that coin, and it means a lot to her.
Maybe. But you're getting
Last coin. I love you to the spirit life I go.
okay. But that's getting to the point to some extent, though.
Right, yeah.
Because something about the coin makes it more valuable than the cost of the celebration. The fact that it was lost, but now it's not. Like, Stevie's lost, so in that moment, for the shepherd of the parable, Stevie becomes more valuable than the 99 others. Because Stevie's lost. The risk to Stevie and the fact that he's lost means that takes precedent and priority. It means it becomes the most valuable thing the shepherd has in that moment. Is that making sense?
Yes.
Okay. That doesn't mean that the 99 aren't valuable, and it doesn't devalue the 99. It just means in the moment, the pressing need to find the one makes everything rise to the surface. Same thing is true of the coin, right? So then the cost associated with it becomes kind of irrelevant. So the cost associated with the crucifixion becomes irrelevant in light of those that are lost and need to be found. It's not that the 99 don't matter. It's not that the other 9 coins don't matter. It's not that at all. It's that the one that's lost matters that much more. because it's lost. Right? It's your cell phone. So long as it rests securely in your pocket, you find it. As soon as you realize you don't know where it's at, now it matters a whole lot more. For no other reason than I don't know where it is. Right? Okay. The ridiculousness that we put ourselves through in scouring the house for our phones or our coin, the ridiculousness of leaving the 99 and going to find the 1, and the cost associated with the parties in their absurdity, that's the point. Because it is absurd. That God would say, oh, you know what? Humanity's got a problem with sin. I know what I'll do. I'll become like one of them and then die in their place when he's God. And in a real way, he could have just gone, you know what? That didn't work. Reset. But he didn't. Does this make any sense? Okay, so listen. He tells Stevie's parable. He tells the coin parable. Then he tells the prodigal parable. Back to back to back. The prodigal sons, yes, plural, I'll explain. Prodigal sons parable is supposed to be read on the heels of these two. With me? Because we can be as simple as sheep and coins. Remember? But we can also be really complex. And it's not as easy as, oh, I just got to go find my sheep or my coin. When it's people, because we have this inherent way of wanting to do what we want to do. And when we come to our senses, then things begin to change. So let's now read the parable of the prodigal. I'm going to interrupt it because it's my style. We're going to talk through the parable of the prodigal son, take some notes on what we're doing, and then I will introduce you to what's next. Okay? Good. Do you want to keep reading or should I find somebody new?
So I can keep reading.
Okay. Carry on to verse 11. Parable of the prodigal. I always make it plural. Parable of the prodigal sons. I'll explain myself, I promise.
Jesus continued. There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger one said to his father, Father, give me my share of the estate. So he divided his property between them.
Pause. We made it real far. Guy's got 2 sons, right? Good. The youngest of the 2 of them would like his share of the estate. What does that mean he wants?
He wants his dad's money.
Yeah, he wants his inheritance. So here's the paraphrased version of the conversation, right? Because I do the Miller paraphrase thingy. So, hey Dad, at some point in time you're gonna die, and when you die, you're gonna give me some of your stuff. Can we fast forward that? Can I get the stuff that you're gonna give me when you die? Can I get that now? Not a recommended conversation with mom and dad. Don't try that. I can imagine how that would go with mom.
Oh, mine?
Yeah, it's not going to go well. That's the point, right? But what does the father do? He divides the property. Now he's got how many sons? Okay, so how much is he dividing up his property?
Half.
Nope. Thirds.
Oh.
Thirds. Because the oldest son gets 2/3. Because the firstborn in the house always got a double portion of the inheritance. So there's 3 Miller boys, right? I'm the oldest, and I got 2 younger brothers. Thankfully, I'm the oldest. So if my dad was going to do this on the Bible model of this, he'd divide his estate into 4, and I'd get 50%. And each of my brothers would get 25%. Right? Because the oldest always gets a double portion. So he divides the estate into 3. takes the monetary value of the third that would belong to his younger son and gives him the cash. Because he would have given him actual property. So let's say he's a grain farmer. Just spitballing, right? A third of that field and property would become the younger son's, and he would go and establish his house, and that would become his homestead. That's now his property, and he can expand it as he, right? As he grows up and as his wealth increases, et cetera, yeah? And the other 2/3 of that property belongs to the older son. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. They stay connected as an extended family unit, but that's how that works.
Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had, set off for a distant country, and there squandered his wealth in wild living.
Okay, so he took his dad's money that he was going to get in his inheritance, gathered up all the stuff he wanted to take with him, went to a far country, and lived like a frat boy. Keep going.
After he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in the whole country.
That's a problem. So now he's broke, and there's a famine. Keep going.
And he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed pigs.
Oh no! Okay, so now we got a broke former frat boy with no food, who now is working for a pig farmer. Why is that a problem? Not an honorable position. We assume because Jesus is telling this parable to a group of Jewish individuals, he's talking about a Jewish family. I mean, that's Jesus' immediate context, right? Mm-hmm. So are pigs clean or unclean? Unclean. No bacon. That's rough. So he was in a house with an estate. Now he's hired himself out to a pig farmer because he's broke and hungry. This is not going well for him. Go on.
He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating.
Whoa! Okay, so now he's hit rock bottom so hard he's looking up to see rock bottom. He's not at the bottom of the well, he's like below the bottom of the well. I want you to think about this for a second. He doesn't have enough food, and he's broke like a joke without a punchline, to the point that he would like to eat what he's feeding pigs. Anybody ever seen what they feed pigs? There's a reason they call it slop. Yeah. But he's starving. This is as bad as it gets. Carry on.
But no one gave him anything. When he came to his senses, he said, "How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am starving to death?"
Wait. He had a light bulb moment. I'm feeding pigs. Working for Joe the pig farmer. I don't know. First name popped in my head. Meanwhile, my father pays his employees a whole lot better. I could just go work for Dad. Not be his son again, but work for him. Because my dad's employees get treated better than this. So now he's starting to come around to well, I'll go home. Working for my dad will at least be a better living than this. Okay, carry on.
I will sit down and go back to my father and say to him, "Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you."
That's the repentance thing. Remember, both parables before end with one sinner who repents. That's that repentant moment. Keep going.
"I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants." So he got up and went to his father. So keep reading. Mm-hmm. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him.
Okay. No self-respecting Jewish man who's the head of a household would run anywhere. ever. This is why you don't do cross country. Makes me sad.
Makes me happy.
Okay then. Is maybe we expect the father to act like this, right? Maybe because we don't live in the honor-shame system, but honor-shame culture, this is probably not the reaction you're expecting. Keep going. Keep going. Verse 21.
Yes. The son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you.
Hey, he's giving his prepared speech, right?
I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his own,
He gets cut off. I've sinned. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. What's the next line? He's supposed to say, make me a hired servant. I'll work for you. Dad won't let him finish his story.
But the father said to his servants, Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and now is found.
Okay, a couple of things to note. Number one, the best robe, the ring is a signet ring, so it's the family ring. It's got the seal of the family, right? Medieval style movies, wax impressions, stamped signet. Yeah, okay. Bring the fatted calf. We're going to celebrate and have a party. Party for finding the coin. Party for finding the sheep. Party for finding the son. And then he says what? This son of mine, that vocabulary is really important. This son of mine was dead but is alive, was lost and is found. Keep reading.
Meanwhile, the older son was in the field. When he came near the house, he heard the music and dancing. So he called one of the servants and asked him what was going on. Your brother has come, he replied, and your father has killed the fatted calf because he has him back safe and sound. The older brother got angry and refused to go in.
Do you understand why the older brother is angry?
Yes. I understand. I feel it.
Yeah? Yeah? Huh. Your brother has come home. Keep going. He was angry and refused to go in.
Right, yeah. So his father went out and pleaded with him.
Pause. His father came out. That's exactly what his father did with the younger son. Keep going.
But he answered his father, Look, all these years I've been slaving for you. I never disobeyed your orders. Yet you never gave me even a younger goat so I could celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours, who has squandered your property with prostitutes, come home, you killed the fatted calf for it. My son, the father said, you were always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad, because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.
Okay. You resonate with the older brother? How many of you are the older sibling?
I'm not the oldest, but I'm older.
Fair.
Me too.
Do you hear his father comes out, right? Come on into the party, and he, do you hear him when he says, this son of yours? What's he doing? Disassociating?
Yeah.
Is that the word you want?
But I didn't know if that
Does it sound right?
in my head.
Okay, so let's run with it. From who? Who's he disassociating?
Brother.
His brother?
He's disassociating his brother from himself. He's saying that they're not related anymore.
Who else is he doing that with?
His brother.
Yeah, his father. Listen to it with a different tone. This son of yours. You see, it's flat on the pages. You can't hear the tone, but play with it. This son, put the caustic in the son, and he disassociates from his brother. If you put it in yours, he disassociates from his father. Oh, this is what it's like to be your son? Ooh, that's a whole different level, isn't it? Hang on a second. Let's play this out. So at the beginning of the parable, we had a younger son who told his dad, hey, I want the stuff I'm going to get when you die. Oof. Goes away, lives stupidly, and then comes home, right? And so while he left home, the younger son seems to have never actually left the family. I'll go home because I know my dad. And I'm not worthy to be his son because of the way that I've lived. There's a recognition there, right? So he's left home and he's lived stupidly, but he's part of the family. Meanwhile, the older brother's never left home, but is he part of the family? You see, this is the piece to the Stevie story and to the coins story that gets more complicated when you involve people. How did the 99 feel that you went and found Stevie?
The sheep there.
They were sheep. Whatever. How do the 9 coins feel that you left them on the counter to go find the one that was lost?
Coins.
They're coins. It's not that complicated. How do people feel when that one person that drives you absolutely crazy is welcomed in and celebrated? It presents you with a little bit of a different problem now, doesn't it? I think we saw this play itself out in contemporary Christian culture when Kanye had his conversion moment. He released that album because we saw one pocket of Christianity embrace that and say, I hope this is lasting and genuine and welcome and become part, and let's walk with you and let's walk alongside you. Right? And people like Fred Hammond stepped into that space. Showing my age, I know who Fred Hammond is. Yeah? And said, hey, let's walk this out. Let's figure out this relationship with Jesus together. Right? That was one. And then there was a group that was a lot like the old brother. Seriously? He's converted? Ooh. See, here's the deal. The older brother in the story has never left home, but he's not in the family when the parable ends. See, who's lost when the parable closes? The older brother. The younger brother is lost when the parable opens, and that's clear. That's clean. We see that all the time. But we miss those moments when we act like the older sibling in the story. Remember, each of the 2 previous parables ends with a party. Come and celebrate. I found what was lost. Here's the deal. If the Father says to us, come and celebrate, those who were dead are now alive. Those who were lost are now found. And we refuse to enter the house, are we in the family? Or are we lost? See what Jesus has done here. The outcast, the marginalized, the rejected, and the disenfranchised, in their society is the younger brother. But with repentance and contrition, listen to the words of the younger son. He understands just how much he's fallen off of that cliff in the way of Shaun the sheep. Yeah? But listen to the words of the Father. He was dead. He is alive. He was lost. It is found. The challenge at the end of the parable is the older brother just as lost? He's in the house, but is he part of the family? We know where he's at, but is he really found? And see, that's the piercing and penetrating question of Luke 15. Are you the younger son? Are you Stevie? Or Sally? Are you the lost sheep that needs finding? Are you the lost coin that needs rescue? Are you the lost son that needs to come home? Or are you the son that never left home, but you're still not found either? Because it's complicated with people. You can be lost by living like the younger son. Or you can be lost by living like the older son. Part of the challenge of the parable is, if the father is celebrating, do we join the family? Or do we disassociate? You notice it's on the older brother. The father goes out to bring him into the house, and he refuses. And that's where the parable ends. There's no resolution to it, because I think we're supposed to fill in the resolution. Just making sense? This should be the challenge to it. See, it's easy when it's sheep like Stevie and it's coins. It's complicated when it's people. And it's especially complicated when it's people we don't like. People that have hurt us in the past, right? Look, the older brother had to be hurt when his younger brother left. There's a sense of betrayal in that. Anyway, something to think of. Okay. Here is the task going forward. Let me lay this out for you so that you have it and have an understanding of what we're doing. Okay. We're going to work on something in the Gospel of Luke that asks some pretty critical questions of this idea of the outcast that we've been talking about. So it looks like this. The Gospel of Luke is heralded as the gospel for the outcast. Your task is to use the passages that we've discussed in class to explain how you understand Luke's gospel to be addressing those among us who can be disregarded or cast aside by our society. Christian, not Christian, either one. How should Christians treat the outcast in our world? How does Luke demonstrate that Jesus is there for the outcast? This is especially there in the way that Luke tells the stories about Jesus. Remember, it's there in the way he frames the story of Simon the Pharisee and the woman at Jesus' feet at the banquet. It's there in how he presents the woman with the issue of blood. It's there in how the Jairus story and the daughter takes place, right? So, how do we treat outcasts? How does Luke demonstrate that Jesus is there for the outcast in his gospel? How do you understand Luke's gospel to be addressing those two issues? Explain fully, use your quotes, use them well. MLA format, Times New Roman, 12-point font, formal language and style, 850 word minimum. You'll be fine. Just answer the questions that are there in the text, okay? Or in the prompt, okay? Good.
Can we use like other, like I forget the one verse that is mentioned.
Yeah.
Like if we know other verses that
Sure.
relate to this.
Yes. Keep it limited to Luke's gospel. Okay? Keep it limited to Luke, though, because this is about Luke and Luke's presentation. Okay? Monday. Not tonight, a week. You have a week. If we need more time, we'll talk as we get closer to Wednesday. I can shift it if I need to. But right now I've got it set. I'm going to give you time this week. Okay? And then you don't have school Thursday. You don't have school Friday. Okay? Okay. Let me know if you have questions. Go ahead and get started.